Hello and welcome to the Tensai Morning Show, where we discuss everything about raising genius kids. My name is Chris and I'm your host. And today we'll be talking about how to set up a learning space that your child will actually use. If you are here and this is your first time of joining us, please do well to click on the subscribe button below and also share this video or share this stream with people who you know are definitely going to use your friends, your family, your co-workers, your loved ones, so that they can also join in as well. And if you're coming back for the second or third, or you've been with us from the day one, then welcome once again to another episode of the Tensai Morning Show. I'm super excited for what I want to talk about today, and you're gonna see that. All right. So let me see. If you are here, do let me know where you're watching from and let me know about today and you're gonna see that. All right. Okay. So quick recap of the week. Now, last week we talked about mornings and the three block structure that transforms chaos into calm. And Thursday we covered screens and how the end it time it talk about its framework eliminates the battles. And also on Friday we broke down the homework fight and why it is really about the emotional overload and environment. Okay, I think we're back. I think we are back. All right. And so I talked about I talked about the environment, I talked about the learning space, I talked about okay, what is this important? Why is the environment important? Why is it very important? And it's because most parents don't even know this, right? They think that oh, when you talk about learning space, typically on my calls, when I ask parents, oh, do you have a learning space at home? They're like, oh, yes, we do. And I ask where they say, oh, it's on the dining table. And they think it means oh the corner of a room or the kitchen table. But if that space is noisy or cluttered or missing what your child needs, it is not actually a learning space. It's just a place where schoolwork and homework happens, and it happens slowly and painfully. So today, I'm going to show you exactly what the learning space needs, and it's simpler than you think. It's simpler than you will think. Okay. Now, first, let's talk about why this matters. Let's talk about why this matters significantly. Okay. You see, your child's brain has limited resources for attention, very limited. And so when they are in a noisy or visually chaotic space, their brain is using attention resources just to filter out the noise and chaos. And so before they even start their homework or before they even start studying, they've already spent some of their attention budget just to fit into that environment. But when they're in a quiet, organized space, their brain does not have to filter anything. All of their attention is available for the actual work. It is why your child can focus on homework in a quiet room but can't focus on that same homework in a noisy kitchen, right? There's also a memory component. When you learn something in a specific context, your brain encodes the context along with the information. So if your child learns maths at a specific or certain desk or certain conditions, what they will remember or how they will remember it is when these conditions are similar, right? In psychology, we call this context dependent memory. We call it context dependent memory. And so, the bottom line is that the environment is not a luxury, it's not a nice to have. It is a tool for learning, right? It is a tool for learning. And so now let's go into the four elements. Let's go into the four elements of a proper learning space, right? So, what makes a real learning space? What makes it? The first one is one, a clear surface. A clear surface, not a desk buried under papers and school supplies. It's a surface where your child sits down and there's nothing there except what they are using right now. Except what they are using right now. Everything else is stored somewhere out of sight. Now this sounds obvious, so but it's not what most homes look like. In fact, most parents don't even pay attention to this. And so, like, if homework time means oh, moving piles of stuff off the table or trying to clear the table or any of those things, that's friction. And you want to eliminate friction. So the second one is good lighting. Good lighting. This matters more than you might realize. You see, a dimly light space, it makes it harder for your child's eyes to focus and makes your child sleepy. So good lighting, it doesn't have to be expensive, okay? A desk, maybe a lamp or a natural light from a window works fine. The point is you can actually see clearly, okay? The third is quiet. Now, not silent necessarily, but minimal noise. So if homework or schoolwork is happening in the same room where the TV is on or the siblings are playing, that noise is a cognitive load on your child's brain. And so the brain is now working harder than it should do just so that it can do the same thing that it would have done. So if you can create a quiet corner or a time when the house is quieter, that's worth it. And then number four is zero distractions, which is no screens in sight, no toys visible, no other activities nearby that are more interesting. Because I mean, we already know that children don't like reading because reading is boring. So you don't want to put an ant on sugar and then try to tell the ant not to look for the sugar. So the learning space is for learning. Everything else is out of view. Okay. Now you don't need a dedicated room because I know most parents will always ask me, "Oh, Chris, we don't live in such a big house. How do we find a room or whatever, or for a place to turn to make to turn your child's space into a proper learning space?" Right? You don't have to have a separate room. Do you know that a kitchen table can be a learning space if you set it up right? You clear it completely except for what is needed. So you do homework when you are not cooking. You create quiet. You put everything else away. And it has to be a specific time when you know that definitely nothing is going to carry you to cook by that time. And once you're able to do this, then boom, it's a learning space. So the point is not that it's a dedicated room. The point is that when learning happens there, the conditions support focus. That's all. All right, so here's a concept that has really helped families, which is learning station. It's everything your child needs to do homework or do work is within arm's reach and organized. Within arm's reach. So their pencils will be in a holder, their eraser, their sharpener, their ruler, any materials needed at all. Everything they could need is right there. This means that they never have to get up and lose focus. They never have to get up and lose focus looking for a pencil. They sit down, everything they need is there. So they do what? They work. This is such a small thing. It's so small, but it eliminates so much friction. And so every time a child has to get up and go find something, they break focus. They might get distracted on the way. You've lost 5 minutes of focus time, right? So a dedicated learning space increases completion by up to 45% without stress, oh, right? So you don't want to be doing studying on the bed with TV on and trying to get a child to focus at the same time. If you created a learning station and you maximized it with surface, light, quiet, zero distractions, then you've solved half of the problem. You see, we had a family that had an 8-year-old whose homework completion was around 50%. And some days they would finish, some other days they would not. So the home was small. There was no space for any of these other things, right? And so when she came to me and she talked about this, I told, okay, this is exactly what you need to do. Create a study zone, create a learning space at home, create a place where your child studies every day, no matter how small. Just get a table and chair, and we make sure that we ticked off all these criteria. Because she was mentioning that the child always gets distracted. The child gets distracted every like the littlest things. And so what we did was just that. And guess what, guys? Within 2 weeks, the completion went from 40% to 85%. And in a month, the child was finishing homework in half the time because the environment was supporting focus. The environment was supporting the focus instead of working against it. It's also important to know there's something I wanted to add, that also when you're creating your study zone or this learning space, you have to also factor in the kind of learner that your child is, right? So if your child is a kinesthetic learner, that's the kind of learner that likes to move around, or they are restless, say quotes in quotes, right? Then you want to create a learning space that actually has enough space, or that encourages them to move around. If they are people who like sound, they are auditory learners, then you want to prioritize quiet and soundproof and making sure that there's no noise as much as possible. If they are visual, then it means also adding a lot of visual cues and using that to teach your child. Okay, so if study time is a struggle in your house, if it's a struggle in your house, then I want you to set up a learning space. Try and set it up today, not a fancy room. Just follow the four elements: clear surface, good light, very quiet, and no distractions. And tell me if it changed anything. Don't forget to share this with a parent who's been dealing with homework struggles. Let them know that the fix might not be, oh, getting more teachers or more discipline. It might just be creating a better space for your child. Okay, so congratulations on staying to the end. Thank you so much, guys, for showing up today. And if this helped you, then of course make sure that you share this stream with everyone and all your loved ones. See you in the next one. Okay, and tomorrow we're going to be talking about the 10 minutes after school ritual. There's something you should be doing immediately after school. 10 minutes, right? So don't miss it for anything. Same time, same place. Don't miss it. Thank you so much and have a great morning.